Well, g'day everyone, how's it going? Coming at you from my home studio today, and if you don't know me, or you've never been on this channel before, my name's Michael, and I do content around my video production business. And today I've got two things that I want to talk about. Unless you've been living under a rock, you may have already heard that the 4K pocket cinema camera from Blackmagic has magically turned into, like Blackmagic, turned into a 6K camera. Now, I shot on this camera about 3 weeks ago. A friend of mine had one. We were shooting a project on a Red, and he just happened to have one with him and brought it. So I had a bit of a play with the 4K, and what I found with the 4K was it was great, but I wasn't so keen on the Micro Four Thirds mount, and I thought, you know what, this would be really good in 6K. And guess what? 2-3 weeks later, they released the 6K. So what did I do? Well, I jumped onto Adorama, because it's not available in Australia at the moment, and I ordered one to be sent to my friend who's currently in LA. So Sam, you might have seen him. I'll throw a video up now that he was in one of my behind the scenes videos when we shot on his Red property. But basically Sam right now is in America. And so I said, look, I quickly messaged him on Facebook and I said, hey, can you pick me up one of these if I deliver it to where you're staying right now and bring it back when he comes back later in August? And he said, yep, 100% can do it. So Adorama, I got it, and I got one of the first round of orders. So it is on the way, probably today, going to be delivered to Sam in the US. And then I'm going to get my hands on it on the 22nd of August. So you're going to be seeing some different content from me. I have been predominantly Canon EOS R. That's my go-to camera system. That's what I'm shooting on right now. But this Blackmagic 6K really has changed the game quite a bit, I think, in the way that it's going to get people, even from a Red kind of point of view, it's going to get people using the Blackmagic for a much better entry price point. And I think there's a few limitations around it. You know, every single person has done it. How I rig my BMPCC or whatever it is, BMPCC6K, how I rig it up. I probably won't be rigging this up massively. Maybe I'll have a small rig half cage just to put an SSD, but I'm even thinking, you know what, just bite the bullet and get two CF cards that are large enough, or two SD cards that are fast enough, and just use those. So I'm thinking, even, you know, the batteries, I've got the Canon EOS R, I've got about 10 batteries for this, and so I don't mind just sort of switching out batteries. And, you know, for production stuff, I can plug it into the wall as well. So in terms of the limitations of the system, I'm not really worried about that. But I've had a good look at the website you can see behind me now, and if you haven't, make sure you check it out, because they've got a lot of this is not sponsored, by the way. I just really like what they're doing, and I like how they're kind of trying to disrupt, as you know, other manufacturers have tried to do. Sony did it with the A7 series. Red did it back in the day with Red 1, trying to disrupt the major industries, and it's always a new player that's coming in that's doing that, and I love that Blackmagic is doing it. But if you check out the website Blackmagic, they've got an actual page where they've listed all this stuff, and Grant Petty talks about it as well. But basically they've listed all this stuff that they've shot on it, and they show you the shots, and also they offer you some of the raw footage, and you can also see some of the behind the scenes of how they shot it and what lenses they shot it on and stuff like that, what their setups were. And it's really been helpful for me to just evaluate the camera and look at, you know, what I'll be able to use the camera for and what it will work for. But because I've got such a variety of things it's useful for, it really is a very good all-round camera. And so I've picked one up, and it's on the way. Now, funnily enough, I won't be really using it predominantly. So I've sold my business now to a business partner on the Gold Coast. Her name's Madeline, and hopefully next week, not next week, the week after, she's going to actually be coming to Melbourne. So there might be some content that we'll create around just how we came together in business and what that looks like and how we set that up. But basically, she's looking after my Gold Coast office, kind of, or our Gold Coast office now, and I'm kind of starting out and kind of pioneering Melbourne, getting Melbourne up and running. And so what happens with that is she's actually going to be getting the BMPCC6K and, you know, a couple of lens kit as well. Probably a Sigma 1835, I'm thinking, for that, because it's a really sharp lens and it looks really good. So that's probably a lens we're going to use for that camera. And so she's going to be getting that, and then I'm going to be looking after the EOS R and, you know, still having this down here until we look at upgrading either another BMPCC4K or 6K, or we might then move to Red as well as a system, depending on how the business grows and, you know, the clients were able to land in the next 3 to 6 months. So really exciting days ahead, and Madeline's awesome. She's been doing really great, and she actually landed a client who was one of my favorite bands growing up. And so she's basically shooting that band, and I don't know if I can talk much about it at the moment, but anyway, they've got a gig coming up and she's shooting that band, and so she's kind of landed a client, you know, for our business that is one of my favorite bands growing up. So it's amazing, but yeah, it's sort of happening and it's good. It feels good that, you know, things are moving forward. And yeah, new equipment. I'm right now actually shooting on the Laowa lens, and that's what really this video is about, more so than the Blackmagic. We could talk about specs of the Blackmagic all day long, and you know, we could talk about how it's disrupting the market and everything like that. The fire sale right now on the 4K version, you know, there's so many speed boosters right now for sale on Facebook and on Gumtree and stuff like the Gumtree is like a Craigslist here in Australia. And there is a lot of that, but I would say, you know, if you've got the 4K, hang on to it because it is a great system. And the upgrade pathway, as Blackmagic have stated and Grant has stated, is that you would have the 6K to shoot, you know, maybe like an interview scenario. Let's say you're shooting an interview. So you got the 6K shot as your front on shot, and that can be cut down into 2 4K shots, like a tight and a wide. And then the 4K can be used on a gimbal or something to capture, you know, that slider shot or whatever. So that would be that kind of scenario. And then another scenario like a wedding. Let's say you're filming weddings on the Blackmagic, then, you know, your 4K would be for all your speeches and stuff, and then the 6K might be for you're shooting the bride and groom to get, you know, really high res shots. So it's not something that you need to worry about if you haven't got the 6K camera. But it just so happens that I waited it out, you know, on getting the 4K. We were planning on getting 2 of the 4Ks, but we waited it out. We were going to put that investment that we're going to put in the 2 cameras and a few small kits into a red, and we're looking at some secondhand reds and stuff, and then we just waited it out, and then boom, this announcement came through, and I just pulled the trigger straight away. I had to pull it straight away because they pretty much, there was 40 I think at Adorama, and they were coming onto back order. Like they would have come onto back order within a couple of hours once the news had landed. So I was up in the morning 5 a.m. and Sam happened to be up in America at the same time as well. It was evening there, and he said, "Hey, have you seen the news?" And I actually texted him back and I said, "Oh yeah, cool. I'll probably go for the red though," and he said, "No, look at it again." And I read BMPCC 4K. I read 6K, and I was like, wait, okay, cool. And so that's when it was like, okay, this is happening, this is cool. And then straight away I went to Adorama and just purchased one. But that's not what this video is about. Like I said, we could talk about the specs of the BMPCC all day long, and I probably will do a video on it once I get it in my hands. And you know, we're doing a couple of projects in late August and September where we'll be using it. So I'll probably do some behind the scenes stuff for this channel. So keep an eye out for that. If you're thinking about buying it and you want to hold off until some of my videos come out on it, then do so. And but jump on the website, have a look at the raw footage. I actually graded some up recently as well, just on Blackmagic. I'll just quickly grab a screen recording here so you can sort of see you know, how the footage looks and stuff like that, but it actually looks really, really good. So I'm just going to quickly go file, new screen recording. Cool, recording now. So yeah, so this is footage that they had just one shot. I've done a few weddings before, so it was good to see the dynamic range. This is the only shot where it showed like a massive shift in dynamic range between the shots. So I basically had a look at this. I'm now in DaVinci Resolve, and this right here is the ungraded footage. I just put a little basic quick grade on it in Resolve, and this is what it, you know, potentially can look like as a bit of a teal in a skin tone, and I've added a little bit of you know, orange out the side just to kind of have the sun coming through. But that, I pulled that grade within, you know, a minute or two, you know, just having a bit of a play around with the footage, playing with some lift and gamma and stuff like that within Resolve. So the footage seemed to be quite flexible. I was able to grade it pretty hard as well. So, you know, based in terms of that, it is great footage. It's yeah, it's got a lot of dynamic range. It's, you know, there is still detail held out here in these highlight areas up here, and you know, there's nice detail still in the shadows as well. So it really is pretty crazy that they've been able to create you know, such a robust piece of software, and you know, the B-raw image. But yeah, anyway, enough about that. This is turning into a long video. Let's talk about what this video is about, the Laowa lens, the D-Dreamer lens. I've actually got it on the camera at the moment, so I'm just going to switch it out with the 24 framing, and I might have to jump down to 1080p. Right now I'm shooting on the Laowa. It's actually a full manual lens. So right now I'm shooting on it, and it's actually, the focus is just fixed. There's no autofocus or anything operating like that. It's f2.8, but the beauty of it is on the Canon EOS R, and for those 5D Mark IV owners as well who are still watching a lot of my content, this lens is 12mm wide, full frame. So what that means is when you crop in with the 4K crop that we know we have on the EOS R and the 5D4, it actually crops to something similar to this, which is similar to a 22 or 23mm focal length. So it actually matches what the 24mm does in 1080p. And I think that's really good. And it actually looks really similar to this lens as well. The last video I did like 3 days ago, I actually uploaded without sharpening it. It does look a little bit soft, but as soon as you sharpen it, you can just sharpen it to 100% and it looks amazing, super, super pristine. So I think the fact that my footage on the last video wasn't sharpened is more to do with it being soft throughout the processing of YouTube and stuff like that, kind of softened up from what I saw on my screen to going to YouTube. But check out this video and let me know what you think between the 24, and I'll drop this down to 1080p, but I'll switch out now and I'll be back in 1 minute. Cool, so now I'm on the 24mm f1.4. It's actually at f2.8 just to keep the light the same as my previous shot. But yeah, basically on the Canon now, and I've got the autofocus face tracking on, so it is moving around trying to grab my face and focus and stuff like that. So it's a little probably cleaner when I move around. But basically I want to show you this Laowa lens, and yeah, let's talk about the 24mm that's on right now. This lens now I'm shooting in 1080p, so I'm upscaling this to match the 4K. Upscale, or I'll downscale the 4K. Anyway, you'll see whether it's got the option for 4K or not, whether I downscaled or upscaled. But let me know what you think about the quality difference between the two. And I'll just jump back to the other clip that you saw before. So this is the 4K Laowa 12mm Zero D, and now this is the 24, back to 24 again. So let me know your thoughts on it. But basically this is such a cool little lens, this Laowa lens. It's 22 aperture to 2.8, so 2.8 aperture, and it really, I don't know if this is going to focus on, let me give it to manual focus for you so you can get the proper focus on it. And yeah, it's got this manual aperture ring, and it's clicked, but really nice and positive, and it just feels beefy, like it feels awesome. And then you've got like a soft declicked focus ring as well, and it's kind of got quite a long throw, you know, so you want to do a full focus pull, obviously it's a long throw, but if you want to just kind of get micro focus, it's got quite a nice feel to it. You can pull a really good focus on it, and it's got this incredible, the inside of it. I don't know if you can see that, but the inside concave, you know, in the lens is really, really cool. And how it does it in such a small lens, how it kind of gets no distortion, is just absolutely mind-boggling. Like, it is such a good image. And so if you can, you know, shooting sort of a real estate, let's say shooting a house with it, which is what we got it for and what I'm using it for, shooting straight on like this, basically, like, it keeps the edges of everything super square. There's not much. We used it on, the good thing about it is we used it on a Super 35, shot on an Ursa 4K. And so obviously it's using a smaller part of it, but if I put this on the EOS R, as you can see, there's no vignetting. It's really clean image. It's it's awesome. And I'm not sponsored or anything like this. I paid full price for this at DigiDirect in Melbourne recently, and yeah, I was just really impressed by the reviews. I'd used it with Sam before he's got one, so I'd shot with him on it before, and I just thought it was time to get it myself. But I've heard that it's even good in the Micro Four Thirds versions as well. So, you know, if you were to use it for you know, a 4K shot on the EOS R, you're going to get about a 24 frame per second equivalent focal length, which I think is good, because that's what you can shoot interviews with, that's what you can do vlogging with, you can do piece to camera, you can do any kind of close-up detail stuff of, like, you know, a mid-range between sort of a 50 mil and a 18 mil, let's say. It's kind of a mid-range lens, and that's why I love the 24 1.4. You know, for full HD 1080p stuff, it's like perfect lens. So for the EOS R, it's perfect for 60 frames per second. It's just a beautiful, beautiful lens. But this is really, really key if you want to get sort of super wide stuff that's got no distortion. You know, anything for nature, architecture, landscape, videography, nice and sharp as well. Probably not as sharp as the f1.4 Canon, and certainly not as sharp as Sigma 18-35. The Sigma 18-35, when we used that on the real estate job, we did like our detail shots with it, and man, it was on a Super 35 red Gemini. It just looks so pristinely sharp. It's incredible. And I sharpened the D-Dreamer footage in post for that video, but I didn't have to sharpen the Sigma footage at all. It's just because if I sharpened the Sigma footage, it would have looked over sharpened. So that's how crazy it was. So, but anything, yeah, super wide. This little lens is awesome, and I'd highly recommend it. It's a beast of a lens. It's beefy. It's really, really heavy, and it's got this cool metal lens cap that comes in. It's like machine fit and machine fits on, which is really nice as well. So yeah, Laowa, you know, is another brand changing their game, because yeah, it's full manual, so it doesn't have autofocus and stuff. But for what we shoot, you know, a lot of it's fixed off aperture stuff as well, and fixed off focus. So we're not, and you know, to do a focus pull on this is really nice as well. So for any sort of cinematic stuff, it's really nice. But you know, for $1,500, a lens like this, you know, as opposed to say if I was to get, you know, 16-35, which is not as wide, or what, 10 to 20, is it? 10 to 20 Canon, which is a micro four thirds, no, APS-C lens. Yeah, I just think this represents, because it's full frame, you know, because you can chuck it on full frame camera, 1DX Mark II, you can put it on the EOS R, you put it on the 5D Mark IV, and it, you know, blows a lot of lenses away that are twice the price. So yeah, that's really all I wanted to catch up with you guys about and talk about in this video. Yeah, just basically what's been happening in the market with Blackmagic, and the fact I've, you know, purchased one and that's on the way, and just to talk about this lens. It's such a great lens. Yeah, if you're looking for a wide lens that, you know, you want to get some wider shots to do landscape stuff, or, you know, check one out, like maybe go and have a look at one at the shop, or test one out available, yeah, wherever you can, or even just grab one on Amazon. I'll put the links below to the lens, and I'll also put some links to the Blackmagic site so you can check out some of that footage as well. Yeah, see how you go, see what you think. All right, you guys, well, thanks for watching. We'll see you all in the next one. Bye for now.